guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back finally, and it is Saturday, June 15th, and it is 8:49 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, I want to explain to you where I've been, so if you are adverse to chatting, you might want to fast forward a few minutes, but I do feel that I owe you guys an explanation. Now, I did put an explanation on my channel, so let me know, you guys, if you saw it, because if you did, then it worked, and that is another way I can communicate with you in the future. If it didn't work, then I have to figure something else out. I did let everyone know on Twitter, but of course, you're not all on Twitter, so anyway, let me get off this infinity screen and I will explain. Now, and just so you know, there are no Q posts tonight, but boatloads of Q related news, and I'm behind on it. I had to just let some of it go and start new so that we'd have fresh news. I didn't want to start off giving you old news. So, that's where we stand. Now, what happened was the first night that I didn't upload a video, I had intended to, and I had gone off to get a coffee, and I thought, well, I'll just run out. I'll get a coffee where I usually stop for coffee almost every day, and then I'll come back and do my show. Well, I went out, and when I turned the corner to come back onto my street, there was police everywhere. There were fire trucks as far as the eye could see down the road, and there were fire trucks, there were police, police everywhere. They had both ends of the road barricaded. And so now, you know what's really sad is the very first thing that went through my mind when I turned the corner and I saw all this, and of course people were lining the streets and the police were saying, get back, everybody, you know, and I'm thinking, Sammy, what have you done? Now, you know that you have a problem cat when that's the first thing you think of. Of course, it was not Sammy. It was a serious gas leak. So by the time I got back into my house that night and settled, I was in no shape to record. Then that night, my 21-year-old cat Picasso had a stroke in the middle of the night. So, and unfortunately, I could not get her to the vet in the middle of the night. You know, I know if you live in a big city, there's a lot of places that are open 24 hours, but when you're in a rural place, you just don't have that option. And it was absolutely horrific because I knew that she was in tremendous amount of pain. She couldn't move her legs, and you could tell by her eyes that something was really, really wrong. So the next day I had her humanely euthanized, the first appointment that they could get me in to see, and I really was in no shape to record that night, and I took the following night off as well because I was a mess. That's the second 21-year-old cat I've buried in, I think 5 or 6 months. So it was very hard for me. They played a huge role in my life because I don't have children, and I poured all that maternal instinct into my 2 cats, as a lot of people that don't have children do. And they really were like my babies. And I felt, honestly, when I lost the last one, Picasso, that I'd just been kicked in the gut. I'm so happy that I took in Sammy, because Sammy, interestingly enough, when I got back from the vet, he knew that something was not right. And I laid on my bed and I was crying, and I stayed there for several hours crying, and Sammy stayed there cuddled up next to me the whole time. And none of his foolishness, none of his, shenanigans. So he has been wonderful for the last few days since Picasso has been gone. I think he senses that something is very different, and he just seems to be a little bit more calm and more, I don't know, I'd like to say understanding, but we'll see. But I did have Picasso cremated, and as I did my other cat, baby cat, and so they are still with me, and it's something that I wanted to do. I know people thought it was ridiculous, but I have to do what I feel is right and how I can best cope with it. So that's what I did. And when the lady, and it's the same lady that I used last time, wonderful, wonderful family operated business, and just wonderful lady. She actually gave me a discount because she said, I just felt so bad that you have to use our services again so soon. And I said, well, hopefully I won't be using them again for many, 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 many years. But she fell in love with Sammy, and she said, he's quite the character. And I said, oh, you have no idea. You have no idea. But he does charm everybody that comes to my place. So anyway, hopefully, and I do have plans to get him on camera a bit more, just because I know a lot of you are pet lovers, and yeah, so you can look for that coming up. But right now, let's get to the news. And we have had in the last, well, gosh, it's got to be within the last hour, because this is really new. It is a 7.2 earthquake, and there's kind of been a cluster there. There was a 7.2, 7.4, 7.4. One was 34.4 miles deep. Actually, I think kilometers deep, sorry. And and the two were 7.4. Now, maybe these two are a duplicate. I'm not sure. I'm not the greatest with earthquakes. That's not my thing, but I do like to look into them. This is in the Ring of Fire, so that puts us at risk on the west coast, of course, of receiving earthquakes, and the west coast of Canada as well, and down, of course, into Mexico and on down. But anyway, I wanted to bring this to you. And if you are interested in earthquakes, I would say that the best person to follow is Dutch Sinse. Dutch, DUTCH SINSE. Now, he is on Twitter. I'm not sure if he's on, not Twitter, I mean, he's on YouTube. I'm not sure if he's on Twitter or not. I haven't looked, to tell you the truth, but he is on YouTube, and he is wonderful at covering this stuff. So if you're interested in this and want to keep up on it, that is a really good person to follow. He covers it in depth and has a great deal of knowledge about all this. But I wanted to mention that. Now, at first when I was looking, they said they did not expect a tsunami to come from this, and yet now they have issued a tsunami alert, but not for a massive tsunami, but I'm sure New Zealand and surrounding areas may get some. I'm not sure. But again, if you want to keep up with this, I would suggest Dutch Sinse. Now, I wanted to show you this as well. Now, okay, this is the global incident map, and this one's for outbreaks. Okay, now I have to be careful because they've been removing the videos on the topic that I've been covering a lot recently. You know, about the bongo over there and the outbreak there. Again, I've got to be very, I'm sorry, I just hit the microphone. Why don't I hit it again? I've got to be very careful because they are removing. But look at this, and I'm not sure if I can get this. It goes by very, very fast, but I want to tell you something. Okay, when I've been to Honduras doing missionary work twice now. I taught the last time I was teaching, but it was a long time ago. The very first time that I went, the war was on with Nicaragua. So that tells you how long ago the first time was. Well, we were made aware of dengue fever, and it didn't claim people's lives. It was very serious, but it never took people's lives. Now, perhaps, maybe if someone was very, very young or very, very old, immune compromised or something, it might, I don't know, but the way it was always described to me was that it's not deadly, it just kind of makes you wish that you were. And it's very nasty, but it never killed people. Well, now it's killing people everywhere. And it's got this hemorrhagic aspect to it that never existed. And if you look at the rash that's caused by dengue and the rash that is caused by this outbreak in the Bongo, not going to say it, then hard to tell the difference. Hard to tell the difference. If you look at the symptoms for the two, hard to tell the difference. So how do we know they're not using that, dengue, as a cover for what has erupted in the Bongo? How do we know that? We don't. And how do we know that they're not using measles? You know, the measles outbreak. How do we know that they're not using that as a cover-up? Because people are dying from that as well. I had the measles when I was young. All my friends had the measles. In fact, we used to have little measles parties. You know, you'd go and you'd go, if you had it, you'd go and you'd infect your friends so they could get it over with. I mean, wasn't a big deal, but this has to be a different strain. And the rash for the measles looks suspiciously like the one from Bongo and dengue. Interesting. Let's call it Bengay. So yeah, I'm just wondering, are they covering for this? Because I'm looking at this outbreak thing, and this is in real time. It's the outbreak, and look at all this: dengue fever, Lassa fever, 525 people, cholera, and let me see here. Brazil, 614 of Bengay. Brazil, 143,000 of Bengay. We've got, it's everywhere. Brazil, Argentina, Thailand. They've all got this fever. Everyone, all of them. And huge. I mean, 840 in India, 760 in Sao Paulo. So yeah, Malaysia, Pakistan, Nepal, Uganda. That's the Congo outbreak has crossed into Uganda. Mexico, Honduras, and Australia. Well, that's the hantavirus. Mexico. I mean, this is, outbreak in Australia and Lassa fever. I'm not sure if that is, I would assume that it's contagious because it's on this outbreak thing for the global incident map. But 2,000 in the Philippines, more than 2,000. I mean, 143,000 in Brazil. I mean, this is alarming. And I'm telling you, I used to follow this stuff because I was interested in it, because I had an interest in Honduras and the Mosquito Coast area, and I wanted to be sure that anytime that I went, I was safe. So I would follow this. People didn't die from it, and it was not rare, but fairly rare. I mean, it's not, so I don't know. There's something going on, and I don't believe, because, okay, it's spread by mosquito. It's a mosquito-borne illness. Are there more mosquitoes? I don't understand. Why would it increase this much and around the world simultaneously? Why? Do the mosquitoes from Brazil fly to, the Philippines? I don't think so. I mean, that's one hardy mosquito if it does. So I don't know, but there's something going on we're not being told about. And I know that for a fact, because it does not make sense. And anytime something doesn't make sense, then usually it doesn't make sense. There's something more to it, because generally these things do make sense, and they travel according to patterns. They spread in one area. They may spread, upward and cross boundaries in an area, but this seems to be worldwide right now. Why? And then we have all the feasels in the states that really the symptoms for now are very similar to the bongo. So I don't know. And of course we are importing, and they are trying to now negate that and say, no, they're not here. The people from bongo are not in the United States. Well, that's a lie. And there was a reporter from InfoWars actually that went into, and it looked like they were getting them all registered to vote too. And they have spread them out. They have shipped them to all over the United States. Yeah. So I don't understand. I do understand. I do. I know we are in big trouble. We're in big trouble, and I think it's being covered up. It's being covered up. I believe that with all my heart and soul. I don't mean to spread fear at all. However, we do need to be prepared. And actually, I'd rethink traveling right now. I really would. Because you're getting on an airplane and you don't know where these people have been and who they've been in contact with. There just is too many strange circumstances that are not explainable. So anyway, and a good one to watch, although I've heard that some of his videos have been taken off, his Ebola videos. I don't know if it's just one. I don't know if it's several. I don't know. But Florida Maki is covering this extensively and doing a wonderful job. There's another girl, she's a nurse, and she does a good job as well. I think it's Jennifer for Veterans. I think that's her name. Anyway, she's doing a good job as well covering this. I have been covering it, but not as extensively as they have. So yeah. All right, now let's look at this, because this came from the Washington Examiner. And these articles are disappearing very quickly, so I wanted to get to it. Now, I can't, let me make this a little bit bigger. I have to be careful about reading this stuff right now because it seems to be a very touchy subject. So these migrants that went through Texas are swiftly fanning out across the country. And of course we had the pictures of them. Okay, that's not the right one, but we did have the pictures of them crossing. And I want to know who's shipping them in here, because they're not walking, they're not swimming, they're not coming across in a boat. So how are they getting here? The only way is airplane, and they're traveling with a whole bunch of other people on those planes. So we don't know if any of them are infected. It takes 21 days, and get this, stays in a man's semen for 2 years. 2 years. So if they survive it, then yeah, it's still in their semen for 2 years. Well, do you think that they're going to refrain from sex for 2 years? I don't think so. So they're spreading it. Unbelievable. And not all the time are they even able to detect that somebody has it. They find out when they drop dead, I guess, but or when they get a little sicker. But they're saying now one in every 4 cases is not even detected. So that's a lot. All right. So I'm not going to read this to you just because I'm likely to get this video pulled down. So this is what you need to do. You can Google this. I would suggest using DuckDuckGo and put in this and this word, and you will find it. It's probably about the 3rd one down. You'll find it. I'm not going to leave a link to it either because the video will get taken down. So it's unfortunate that we have to communicate this way, but we have to do what we have to do until this nonsense is over, if it ever gets over. It's unbelievable. I never, ever, ever thought we would be looking at the situation we're looking at in America, ever. I always looked on it as the bastion of freedom and free speech, and I don't know. It's quickly becoming something else. So, all right, I want to show you this. I don't know if they will be as sensitive about this, so this is from the New York Post, so they shouldn't have a problem with this. Nearly 70 tourists to Dominican Republic reported illness since March. That's a lot. Now, do I think this is the same thing? No, I don't. Unless there's something we don't know about. But I don't think it's the same thing. I think that there's something going on over there. And I don't believe it's pesticides in the rooms, because that doesn't make sense, because they've used these pesticides forever. Why all of a sudden everybody's dying? I don't know. That doesn't make sense. And when it doesn't make sense, it's probably not true. Nearly 70 tourists have reported getting violently ill while vacationing in the Dominican Republic since March, according to a commonly used website that tracks foodborne illness outbreaks. That's up from just 10 reported illnesses in the country for all of 2018, according to iwaspoisoned.com. In June alone, 52 tourists reported symptoms of vomiting, diarrhea, and fever. More than 45 of them identified themselves as guests at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, Punta Cana. People report foodborne illnesses, but it's possible that they experience some type of contamination, said, I'll learn to speak eventually, said Patrick Quaid, founder of iwaspoisoned.com, adding that he consulted with scientists regarding his finding. Now, I don't know, does food poisoning, I've had food poisoning, worst thing ever, really. I don't even like to remember it, but I don't think I had a fever. I might have, I don't know. It was a long time ago and it was horrific, but, I don't know. Maybe some of you guys know and can chime in. I'm sure there's, probably a doctor or a nurse or something listening that can, educate us on that. I'm not sure. But that would tell us a lot. If it doesn't have, if food poisoning doesn't have a fever, then I guess we could rule that out. More than 45 of them identified themselves as guests at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, Punta Cana. People report foodborne illnesses, but it's possible that they experience some type of contamination, said Patrick Quaid, founder of iwaspoisoned.com, adding that he consulted with scientists regarding his findings. We started to see unusual activity in April when 6 people reported being ill on the island, but in June it exploded, Quaid said. One expert Quaid consulted, Leanne Jacas, a food microbiologist in the Department of Food Scientists at North Carolina State University, said exposure to an insecticide chemical known as, a name that I can't pronounce, organophosphate. Oh, that's not too bad. Organophosphate could result in severe vomiting and diarrhea, but in dire cases, it could cause a cardiac arrest. The families of at least 3 people who died at resorts on the island last month were told that their loved ones died from pulmonary edema and respiratory failure. It is quite possible that Patrick has picked up something significant that is not food related, Jacobs told the Post. The safety and wellness of our guests at Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Punta Cana is now and always has been our highest priority. We are confident that all operational protocols were followed to ensure the safety of our guests. The company said in a statement, while we are deeply saddened by these incidents and our thoughts go out to all those affected, we, along with the general public, will be monitoring the facts as they unfold surrounding these events. Now, do I believe that this, hotel and casino is poisoning their guests? No. Their whole livelihood is tourism. And this not only is bad for their business, but bad for the entire Dominican Republic, because they rely on tourism. That's how they make their living. So I don't believe that. Could there be one employee there poisoning guests? I don't know. Perhaps. We don't know. This is all a mystery. Guests staying at other hotels, including Vista Sol Punta Cana Beach Hotel, Rio Palace, Punta Cana, it could be Punta Cana, I'm not sure, and Iberostar Bavaro in Punta Cana also reported illnesses on the website. The vast majority of incidents were in the Punta Cana region and at the Hard Rock property, according to QUAKE. The illnesses come on the heels of reports that 6 people have died, coming down suddenly with mysterious ailments while staying at luxury resorts on the island since last year. The FBI is investigating the matter, and some victims claim they were told by medical professionals in the U.S. that their symptoms could be linked to chemicals found in insecticides, according to the reports. I don't believe that. I don't believe that unless they were actually poisoned with the insecticide. Because if it's just in the room, like anywhere you go in the Caribbean, Central America, South America, they're going to, Thailand, all those countries, they have issues with bugs and they spray the rooms, but people don't die from it. So, I don't know. All right. One family of 4 who recently returned from a week-long vacation at Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Punta Cana booked an all-exclusive package and became violently ill after dining at Toro Restaurant on the property. The family had to stay an extra night at the hotel, an $847 a night cost, because they were too ill to travel. The mother, who didn't want to be identified, told the Post. On their June 1st United Airlines flight home to New York, the passenger next to the mother, an 87-year-old woman who was traveling with her family, said she and another member of the group were hospitalized in the Dominican Republic after eating at the same Hard Rock Hotel eatery. Meanwhile, travelers headed to the island are getting nervous. I would be too. Until that's solved, I wouldn't want to be going there, at least not to that region. Meanwhile, one tourist shared her fears about the reports of death and illnesses on the Hard Rock Hotel and Casinos Punta Cana Facebook page on Saturday. Can anyone shed light on this? We're going there this week. I'm so worried now regarding my trip there. Now, I would be too, and I wouldn't be going there. If that many people got ill, I would think, okay, there's something here. Either somebody's poisoning the food with insecticide or something's going on. And now I think the latest theory is that the liquor is got insecticide in it, and it's like some homebrew liquor that they serve. I don't know. I've just heard that. I don't know how real or how valid that is. I don't know if that's been properly vetted or it's just a rumor. But for now, I think it's very interesting. All right, now let's go back because we've got a lot. Now, this is very odd. In Pursuit of Truth, I'm sure you've all heard of them. I know they're on Twitter, and I think they're on Facebook. YouTube. I'm sorry, my mind is not quite there tonight. And this is what they posted. I'm not suicidal. Your marketing scheme sure is. Now, they're saying this because they received this from YouTube. And I think if I had got this from YouTube, every hair on the back of my neck would have stood up because I think it's just plain strange. Let me read this to you. Now, this is the letter they got from YouTube. Members of the YouTube community have expressed concern for your well-being. We care about you. We encourage you to take advantage of the following resources within the United States. Call 1-800-273-TALK, 8255. The trained counselors at the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline are available 24/7. The call is free and confidential. To learn more about the Lifeline, visit www.suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Text BEGIN to 741-741. Text with a trained crisis counselor through Text Crisis Line. Anonymous free emotional support available 24/7. To learn more, visit www.crisistextline.org. Learn. Visit selfinjury.com. SAFE Alternatives is a network and educational resource base committed to helping self-injurious behavior. Yeah, and it goes on. Visit SIOU SIOSreach.org. SIOS is an outreach initiative providing information and resources about self-injury to those who self-injure, those who have recovered, and those who want to help. Outside of the U.S., visit iasp.info/resources/crisis centers or befrienders.org to see a list of suicide prevention hotlines. If your country or region is not listed, we suggest Googling local resources and reaching out for support. Now, how would you feel if you were a content provider on YouTube and you received an email like that from YouTube? How would that make you feel? It would sure make me feel like I was in danger, to tell you the truth. It really would. I think it's very strange. I don't know if this is some sort of, if this is some marketing thing by YouTube, then they need help, really, because this is just plain creepy. Creepy. And he responded to YouTube, "I'm not suicidal. Your marketing scheme sure is." And I would agree that their marketing scheme is suicidal. And I think that they're feeling it because they're banning the people that people want to listen to. You know, if you are going to YouTube to listen to certain people and they've all been banned, well, you're going to leave, right? And that's what's happening because more and more people are getting banned. So I don't know. That's the weirdest marketing scheme I've ever seen. Really? Like, seriously. Like if I owned a shop and I didn't agree with the left, which I don't, well, I wouldn't be saying, "Hey, can't come in my shop. Get out, get out." I'd be like, well, hey, their money's as good as the right's money, right? Well, YouTube doesn't think so because they're not in this for money. It's a political thing. Yeah. All right. Well, let's go on. Now that we've looked at that, which is just darn creepy. Creepy. Now, let's go down because there's plenty more. Now, and look at this. This is from tonight as well. Breaking News Live. And by the way, a lot of the news sites, alt-right news sites, have been now kicked off Twitter. So, but for now, Breaking News Live is still there, and they're reporting that 7 separate houses on fire in Boston. I thought they said it was a 9-alarm fire. Wow. There's like huge fire in Boston. So if you are in Boston and you happen to know what's happening or what's going on, put it in the comments below, because I'm sure we'd all like to know what is happening and if this is anything to worry about. It could be a gas leak, could be terrorism, could be anything. So I don't know. There was no word on that, and I did try with several sources to find out, but nobody really seemed to know what was happening because it was just breaking when I was coming on. All right, now let's look at this, really, and ask yourself, what could go wrong? As we seem to be asking ourselves that question more and more. China invents mind-reading chip called Brain Talker that ... Let's take a look, shall we? A mind-reading brain-computer chip has been announced at the World Intelligence Congress in China. The breakthrough device is called Brain Talker and allows a person to control a computer with just their brainwaves. Brain-computer interfaces, BCIs, are devices that have been designed to create simple communication between the human brain and computers. Brain Talker has been specially created to decode brainware information and send it straight to a computer with no verbal communication or movement required. Now, I do see a use for this because if you are quadriplegic or you don't have your voice or you're not able to talk, whatever, you can control a computer with your brain. I understand that. I'm just saying, what could go wrong? Because, they don't just stop with the good uses for it. They have to go off into the nefarious uses because that's just human nature, it seems. So that's why I say, what could go wrong? Brain Talker has been specially created to decode brainwave information and send it straight to a computer with no verbal communication or movement required. In the future, this technology could be used for educational purposes, gaming, or as a medical device for people who struggle to move, such as those with motor neuron disease. And I agree, because there are people that are quadriplegic or whatever, they cannot move and they can't communicate. And this would be a good way for them to be able to communicate and be able to use a computer and so forth. But, you know, we know it's not going to stop there, don't we? Of course we do. It's not implicitly stated how the brain chip will be worn, but most BCIs are currently worn outside of the body and not actually inside a user's brain. Well, that's good because nobody's putting anything in my brain. Tianjin University researcher Ming Dong said, Ming Dong, now there's a name for you. Ming Dong. Okay, well, I mean, at least they didn't name him Ding Dong. All right, the signals transmitted and processed by the brain are submerged in the background noise. This BC3 brain-computer codec chip has the ability to discriminate minor neural electrical signals and decode their information efficiently, which can greatly enhance the speed and accuracy of brain-computer interfaces. Ming believes that brain chips, like the one he has worked on, could soon be mainstream technology. He added, brain-computer interfaces hold a promising future, and I can see a use for them, especially if somebody is paralyzed even just in their legs, and the chip could take over for those parts of the brain that, you know, and send signals to the legs. I mean, it could be very useful, but I guess I just worry because, you know, mankind tends to, you know, take things a little bit too far. Anyway, he added, brain-computer interfaces hold a promising future. The Brain Talker chip advances BCI technology, allowing it to become more portable, wearable, and accessible to the general public. And yeah. And they're doing all sorts of controversial things there in China. They even have, and you can look this up because I know some of you will say, I don't believe that. Yes, they've added a human component to cows so that they produce human milk. That is the truth. You can look it up, and now they sell that milk because, of course, it's better for babies and so forth because it's actually human milk and not cow's milk anymore. Yeah, remind me never to drink milk in China. And Chinese researchers add human gene to monkey genome in controversial experiment. Gee, what could go wrong? And plastic-eating bacteria set to revolutionize waste disposal. Well, don't tell not Pierre Trudeau, he's dead, Justin Trudeau, because he's wanting to put a tax on single-use plastics in Canada. Yes, so straws, cups, anything like that will be heavily taxed, as is everything else in this insane country that I find myself trapped in. Anyway, don't get me started. Don't get me started. All right, let's go back now because there's other things to get to. Yes, there are. Okay, this from Live Action. There are 2 million plus infertile couples hoping to adopt newborns, but a severe lack of children because they are being killed before birth. We must reject the violence of abortion and embrace the life-affirming gift of adoption. And that's why it doesn't make sense to me why a doctor or a mother, or, well, hard to call them a mother, but they want to, during an abortion, their baby is born alive. Instead of offering, medical assistance to this child and giving it up to a couple, one of these 2 million couples that are infertile and wanting and hoping and praying for a child, they kill it. I don't get that. I don't get that. That is one of the most ludicrous things I've ever heard of in my life. But of course, we know that there's a big market for baby parts. All right. Now let's look at this. This is not going to be pleasant, so I'm just warning you in advance. If you want to skip forward, Just a little bit upsetting. Unborn babies are being extracted from their mother's wombs alive to have their livers harvested. President Trump's pro-life administration showed transformative leadership this week, prohibiting government laboratories from trafficking in aborted baby parts and intensifying the protection of human subjects for any remaining outside research authorized by statute. This new exacting oversight is crucial. I agree. I speak from some personal experience, having participated in gathering the Center for Medical Progress undercover videos of top-level Planned Parenthood leaders who admitted the organization's involvement in the trade in baby parts. These videos shocked the conscience of the American people in 2015, but the atrocity of government-funded fetal experimentation grows more horrifying the closer we look. National Institutes of Health, Health and Human Services Research grantee Dr. George C. Gerlach, an experimental surgeon at the taxpayer-funded University of Pittsburgh, has developed and published on a grotesque technique to harvest fresh, pristine livers from intact babies delivered alive in late-term abortions at a gestational age of 18 to 22 weeks. Gerlach's liver harvesting protocol is used for experimental stem cell transplants, according to the current Good Manufacturing Practice, or CGMP, guidelines developed by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, another arm of HHS. So, yeah. The abortions associated with our protocol were performed by routine medical induction. The labor was induced by local prostaglandin administration, wrote Gerlach and his University of Pittsburgh Medical Center team, because we obtained the tissue from intact abdomens and removed the livers surgically under CGMP conditions. The tissue should be obtained in a sterile manner. The FDA's CGMP guidelines require sterile tissue transplantation products, which means the abortion must leave the fetus intact with internal organs unexposed to external pathogens. The step-by-step clinical details of Gerlach's experiment are surreal. Fetuses were collected and transferred to the current Good Manufacturing Practice CGMP facility for human cell processing. How does an NIH-funded researcher collect and transfer a 5-month-old fetus? The specimens were placed into sterile bags containing University of Wisconsin liver storage solution, and each specimen was transported on ice immediately after the abortion to minimize the transfer time until cell isolation. Immediacy was key. The logistics of the transfer of the fetus to the cell isolation facility required no more than an hour, and our protocol exuded the use of cells that were isolated more than 6 hours prior to transplant. Then they washed the babies. Upon its arrival at the CGMP facility, each fetus was weighed, rinsed with an iodine solution, and placed onto a sterile surgical tray. Then they cut their livers out. Gerlach et al. First published their work in 2012 after he designed and coordinated the program and developed the method for liver harvesting. Gerlach's colleagues published a more detailed description of the technique in 2017, crediting him as its originator. We developed a 5-step in vitro perfusion method by umbilical cord vein cannulation to isolate liver cells from fetuses at the late second trimester, they wrote. The method used is based on the modification of the original technique of liver perfusion with, this is too medical for me, but I think we know exactly what they're doing. And in vivo, of course, meaning in the living, to a medical certainty, a 5-month-old fetus aborted intact by labor induction is alive at the time of delivery. Feticides such as digoxin cannot be used in a harvesting case, and the whole point of the Gerlach protocol is to obtain fresh, live, clean liver cells for transplantation, minimizing time without circulation. In other words, these babies either died when they were submerged in bags for transport or after their bodies were cut open to harvest their livers. My gosh. What have we done? Really? Is this where society's at? It is. Would you have ever thought something like this was going on? I mean, before all these videos started making their way to the surface, would you have believed this? I don't know if I would have. I wouldn't have wanted to. I still don't want to. I think it's horrific. So I think that $7,000 per organ. That's what they're making. No wonder they push so hard for abortion. They're making a killing, literally a killing on it. So I'm glad that Trump has limited this, because unbelievable. And you know, you can extract stem cells from an adult. It's painful, but you know what? I would much rather have them go into a bone and extract stem cells from me than, you know, I would never consent to the use of an infant for that. That's me, and that's my own personal conviction. And I'm not, you know, saying that needs to be your conviction. That's just my conviction. So, but I think this is horrific any way you look at it. So I wanted you to be aware of that. And this will be one of those things that kind of make you go, huh? Because I don't understand how the UK is thinking anymore. I don't. UK police begin replacing victims' own kitchen knives with blunted versions. Are you kidding me? So if you are a victim of domestic violence, they're going to come into your home and they're going to replace all your knives with blunt ones, because nobody's ever been killed with a blunt knife, have they? No, nobody's ever been killed with a blunt knife. It just hurts more. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. A woman is victimized at home, and then the police come in, replace all her knives with dull ones so she can't cook. Like, give me a break. What is wrong with these people? Literally, what is wrong with these people? First of all, if I was a woman in a domestic violence situation, which I've been in, I hide the knives and I leave. If I really feel that I'm in imminent danger, I left and I never went back. And I'm alive. And that's all that mattered to me. I didn't care about money. I didn't care about my clothes. I didn't care about my belongings. I cared about my life. So I don't get this. I don't get it. I think it's absolutely ludicrous, asinine. I just, you know, it to me, it just proves, because here they have outlawed guns. They don't have guns. But then now there's just all these knife attacks. Well, if they take away all the knives and the scissors and everything else, they're just going to find another way. There's a million ways to kill somebody. If somebody's going to kill somebody, they're going to kill them. They're going to find a way. They can poison them with rat poison. Are they going to, you know, take all the rat poison away and everything that's poisonous, and not give anybody medication because somebody could give it to somebody and overdose them? I mean, come on, people. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about them. You guys, I assume, have sense. At least everything that I've seen from you guys would indicate to me that you have sense. And by the way, you guys have been absolutely terrific. The people on YouTube, I got so many responses to when I let them know that my cat Picasso had died. So many people responded so kindly. It literally made me cry, and not cry in a bad way. I was like, wow, like, this is so nice. And so yeah, I know you guys are just one of a kind, really one of a kind. All right, let's go back here and let's take a look at this, because this is going to be another thing that makes you go, maybe not, but it did make me do that. But you have to do this. It helps you think better. It's kind of like the eye roll. Well, this helps you think better. It helps if you have a little stubble here. I don't, but maybe some of you guys do. I'll go on. All right. New York Police Department cop apparently killed himself behind a Staten Island precinct on Friday, the third member of the department to commit suicide this month. 3 in 1 month. You think this might be a red flag to the FBI? Well, you would think so. Why would 3 cops, I think 2 of them were getting set to retire, why would they just think, you know what? And the one was really close to retirement, I think the next week or whatever, and he was going to get a 6-figure income, retirement income. So why would you say, you know what? I think I'm going to just kill myself today. I think I'm just going to sit in my car and shoot myself. No. Yeah. Third member of the department to commit suicide this month. Yeah, something's going on there. Really, something's going on there. Now, I personally think it could have something to do with the Wiener laptop. I really do, because people seem to be dropping dead a lot lately. All sorts of people. Weird. Okay, and here is the article from Breaking 911. And it says a New York Police Department officer took his life on Friday, the third member of the department to do so in under 2 weeks. EMS was requested to the 121 precinct in Staten Island at around 4 p.m. for reports of an officer with a gunshot wound. The officer was found shot in a parked vehicle behind the precinct at 55 Wilcox Street near Sanders Street. Unfortunately, he was pronounced dead on the scene. Sources tell Breaking 911 that the officer was a domestic violence officer at the precinct. The department is still in shock after the recent suicides of Deputy Chief Stephen Silks in Queens on June 5th, followed by the suicide of Detective Joseph Calabrese on June 6th in Brooklyn. Silks had handed in his retirement papers to the New York Police Department the night before he killed himself. He was scheduled to retire at the end of July after 38 years on the job. Calabrese was 58 years old and was on the job for around 30 years. These aren't just, rookies that can't handle it and whatever. These are veteran police officers. So let me see. Let's go down here. And that's it. So, yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. You guys maybe have heard of that already, but it's odd. It's odd. It could happen, not everything is nefarious, but 3 suicides in less than 3 weeks, nah, there's something going on there, really. Okay, now let's go back. No, really, let's. Okay, now this is very interesting, and I think it ties in to what we just read. Okay, because, well, let me just get to this. Remember, 3 suicides in under 3 weeks, and all in the New York Police Department. And let's look at this. I know it's blurry, and I can't do anything about that. I'll make it a little bit big, so it'll be big and blurry, but you guys on your tiny little phones and your tablets may not be able to read this, so it's not my computer. It is actually just blurry. All right, let's read this. This is from an Anon who gathered these. And this from Cory Booker. Civil rights activist Medgar Evers was assassinated by a KKK member in front of his home 56 years ago today. Remember the 56. The first field secretary for the Mississippi NAACP, Evers fought for equality until the very end. He deserved more. We honor his legacy by continuing his critical work. 56 years ago today. Now, here's another Cory Booker. The Equal Pay Act was signed into law 56 years ago today. 56 years ago today. But the wage gap still exists. It's even wider for women of color. We need to pass the Paycheck Fairness Act in the Senate so that women can hold employers accountable for giving them less for equal work. All right. So you're saying, okay, so what? He used 56 2 times. Big deal. Let's go on. This from Kamala Harris. The world lost a remarkable man 56 years ago when civil rights activist Medgar Evers was assassinated. His continued fight throughout his life to end segregation in Mississippi and secure our right to vote serves as an inspiration to this day. And this from Kamala Harris. There is an epidemic of violence against Native American women. Approximately 56% of Native women have experienced sexual violence in their lifetime. That's a bogus, by the way, that's a bogus statistic. Approximately 56% of Native women have experienced sexual violence in their lifetime, and many women and girls are murdered or have gone missing. I've co-sponsored Savannah's act to commit resources to ending this crisis. So interesting how, we've got four tweets, 2 by Kamala, 2 by Corey, and they all mention 56. What might this tie into? We'll see. Oh, and look, this is by Tom Perez. 56 years ago, the Equal Pay Act became law, which made gender-based pay discrimination illegal today and every day. Democrats are committed to leveling the playing field by fighting for equal pay for equal work. Now, remember, these are the same people, too, that were reporting about the dog missing. So they're not above using code, right? We know that. Their communications have been destroyed. They're not able to communicate with one another any other way. So they tweet this strange cryptic stuff, or they make it seem like a valid tweet and they hide it in there. Okay, so 56. What does 56 mean? Well, I worked for the police and I, many years ago, and I know what 56 means. Why they keep tweeting 56? Well, let's take a look why. Yeah. Police Code 1056. Intoxicated pedestrian or suicide. What does Police Code 1056 mean? Police Code 1056 means an intoxicated pedestrian or a suicide. And here, 1056 is a suicide. 1056A is a suicide attempt. Interesting, isn't it? Yep. Anon in PB, I'm not sure what PB is. I should know, but I don't. Posted 56, mentioned in many tweets. Quick search reveals its police code for suicide in many jurisdictions. Are we about to see more today, this week? I think it's police code in every jurisdiction, as far as I know. Not just some jurisdictions. So, what do you think of that? Do you think it's code? Do you think they're saying something? Do you think that these suicides are natural suicides? Do you think these people are just depressed? Oh gosh, I'm retiring with a 6-figure income. I think I'm going to shoot myself. I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. Okay, let's go on because we can. And this, okay, I'm not going to go to this right now because I've got so much stuff to get to, but Assange is going to face a 5-day extradition hearing in February of 2020. And I may come back to that in a later video, but for now, I need to get through the stuff that I need to get through, if you catch my drift. Now, this from Running the Race, and I think this is very interesting as well. And he says, President Trump's tweets, that's hard to say, Trump tweets, 9/5/12/19, estimated 6, misspelling of ridiculous, missing U and added I. Truth belongs to the people. Q. The truth is mind-blowing and cannot fully be exposed. These people are evil. Operation Mockingbird. And of course, he's quoting Q there. And let's look at these. Let's make this a little bit bigger for you tiny phone people, because this one is not as blurry, but this is a tweet by Donald Trump from June 14th. And he says, thank you, Senator Mitch McConnell for understanding the Democrats' game of not playing it straight on the ridiculous witch hunt hoax in the Senate. Crying Chuck will never stop. Did Senator Mark Warner ever report speaking to a Russian? Now here we've got the misspelling of ridiculous. We are missing a U. All right. And oh, and then he added an I there as well, because there should not be an L-I. There should be a U, and there should not be an I. Okay, now let's come down. I know you're saying what? And let's make this a little bit bigger for you phone people, because I want you to see this. I think there's something to this. All right. And this by Kim Sachs. And she is replying to Run the Race, and she's saying missing U, added I, and now a tweet with misspelling with A instead of E. U-I-A. Ukraine International Airlines. Now, this is a theory. It's a theory, but you know what? I think it's a good theory, personally. Now, it could mean something else, but his misspellings do mean something because, well, we know that. We know it. When he misspells, the only time it doesn't mean something is if Q posts something and there's a misspelling and he says, disregard the spelling on the run or on the move or whatever. Then we can disregard it. But we have been told explicitly to pay attention to spelling and everything else. So, yeah, and this is the tweet. While Pennsylvania is booming, I don't want there to be even a little glitch in Coatesville. Every job counts. I want Lockheed instead of Lockheed to boom, and along with something else, but the tweet's cut off there. All right, so it could be Ukraine International Airlines, but here's something else, and it's interesting that he puts this in capital, booming. Because we all know about boom. So Coatesville, could that be, is it Dan Coates? I think his first name's Dan Coates. Remember it said you can't trust Dan or Coates. And so could it have something to do with him because they're mentioning Coatesville? And every job counts. I want Lockheed instead of heed to boom. And there's another boom. And could that be referring to Comey? Because Comey worked for Lockheed. So I don't know, but I'm thinking that he's pointing us to something. Definitely. That was yesterday, 14th of June, that he wrote that. And it means something. Now, whether I've got it right, whether they have it right, I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see. Because, as you know, a lot of times future proofs past, and we look back and we go, oh, okay, that's so clear now. They say hindsight is 20/20. Now, I'm going to skip some of these because time is ticking here, but I'm going to get to this right here by Joe Concha. President Trump pushed back at ABC News anchor George Stephanopoulos. That's right, I said Stephanopoulos, almost as fun as Papadopoulos, but not quite, during a testy interview, calling him a little wise guy. Stephanopoulos, that's right, Stephanopoulos, was pressing the president on not answering questions in person from special counsel Robert Mueller's team. Wait a minute, I did answer questions. I answered them in writing, Trump said. George, you're being a little wise guy, okay? Which is, typical for you, Trump hit back. Just so you understand, very simple. It's very simple. Hang on. There was no crime. There was no collusion. The big thing's collusion. Now, there's no collusion. That means it was a setup, in my opinion, and I think it's going to come out, he continued. Not on obstruction, Stephanopoulos replied. Stephanopoulos, 58, that's right, Stephanopoulos, was a White House communications director and senior advisor for policy and strategy for President Clinton. Well. He joined ABC News as a political analyst after Clinton's first term in 1997 and is now ABC News chief anchor and host of Good Morning America and This Week with George Stephanopoulos. Not to be confused with Papadopoulos. there you go. He's biased as always. So there you go. Now, let me see if there's anything else, because time is, well, we're at the hour mark pretty much. So I think I'm going to break there. I don't know if I'll be back with another video. If I do come back, it will be a short video. This has just been just not a good week for me. I think if I do, I'm going to leave it there for this video. I may come back and do another short video. I may not, but I may, because it's still 10 o'clock. It's still fairly early for me. So I may do another short video because we've got a ton to cover, and I haven't been covering for the last 3 nights. So I'm, you know, it's like somebody that just saves it all up. But most of this is new news. So actually, we missed a lot of news too with me being out, but I'm going to try to do better. I just couldn't help it. All right. Now, that's it. And I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, stay well, and keep seeking truth, because deception bites. And come back and see me, because hit the like and subscribe button. And if you want to be subscribed, make sure you're still subscribed, because they like to drop subscribers. So just a friendly notice. And if you wish to support the channel by throwing a coffee my way, or joining Patreon, that is entirely up to you. It's always appreciated, but it's not always expected. So thank you so much, and you guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you back real soon. Good night.